Okay. So in the last lecture, we were talking about the activation records. Now, whenever the procedure call is going to be encountered or it will be executed by the compiler, the control will be transmitted to the actual definition of the function or a procedure. So in order to store the details about that particular variables of the caller. So if you remember, we talked about caller and calling. So the state of the caller will be stored in the memory, and that storage where the activation is called, where all the information related to temporary variable, actual parameters, formal parameters, that is referred as a activation record. So in the lexically scoped languages, there will be three bindings: compile time binding, activation time binding, and runtime. So compile time is when the program is compiled. At that time, whatever be the procedure calls in your program are there, that will be just compiler is knowing there is some procedures will be there. But when that particular procedure will be actually executed at that time, the binding will be done, which is known as the activation time. So, but obvious, I hope the board is visible. Right. So, but obvious over here in my program, when the smart will, this line will get executed, the control will be transmitted. So, this is my activation time where the control will be actually transmitted in order to execute that procedure body. So, this is my activation time. And but obvious, these variables, which the values will be get updated during the execution of the procedure, is called as runtime binding. So we have already talked about these type of bindings. Now next is the activation tree. So activation tree is what? How the procedures are getting activated, that is represented by using a tree. So each node in the activation tree is represented for the activation of a procedure or a function. The nodes are listed left to right in order of invocation, and the nodes can be decorated with the values of the parameters, local variables, etc. So in our program, if my program P is going to call a procedure Q, so it will be showing at the left hand side. So this P indicates P is going to call a procedure Q, and after execution of Q, it is going to call a procedure R. So this is the activation tree where my R indicates it will be called after procedure Q. So the nodes will be the activation processes. So we will see one example so that it will be more clear. So the activation tree for the sort function. So sort and the parameter will be the list. In sort, we are having a read. So sort is the procedure. So when this procedure will be called, it will be at the root. Now in sort, it is calling a read procedure. So read will be shown as a left node. Now after read, when it returns, the next will be Q sort. So see, this Q sort will be called with a low and high. So if there are 9 elements are there, which are from ranging 1 to 9, so in that case, the formal parameter for the Q sort will be 1 comma 9. Okay. Now this partition procedure will be called where it will return where it will be 1 comma 9, and it will return the middle of that particular elements. So 1 comma 9 over here, low is having a value 1, high is having value 9. Okay, so it will return the value as 9 divided by 2, which will be total elements are 9. So 9 divided by 2, it will be 4.5, but the position or the location in the array is not float, or it is not 4.5. So it will consider that as an integer, which will be x, which is called as the 4 value. And but obvious, with this partition 1 comma 9, it will return the value to this Q sort. So see, Q sort 1 comma 9, then there is a partition low and high procedure, which will be called with 1 comma 9. So that's why with the Q sort, it is having one more node as 1 comma 9. This partition will return the value as 4 just now, as I have explained. And then there is a call for Q sort low comma 1. So low value we have considered over here as 1, whereas x is 4. So 4 minus 1, so the call will be 1 comma 3. And after this execution of Q sort, next call will be x plus 1 comma high. So what will be the value for this quick sort? It will be x is 4, 4 plus 1, that is 5, comma 9. High value is 9. So in this way, the activation tree for this particular program will be generated. So same way you can draw the tree for the any program in which you are having the procedure calls. So this is the activation tree in which the nodes, as per the procedure activation, it will be drawn at the left as or the right node of that particular procedure or the main program. So what will be the elements of the activation record? So the data needed for an activation of a procedure is collected in a record. So as I mentioned, the from after execution, so just I will explain you over here. So you can just map these things. See, whenever the activation record, when activation record will be saved, so when this particular procedure will be called, but obvious, in the storage, it is going to store the written address. So after this procedure will be, execution will be completed, where the control will be back. So that particular position is also stored. At the same time, it will store the actual parameter values over here for this particular program. Then the return pointer, I will say this as a return pointer. And but obvious, so this will be referred as a caller activation. At the same time, if it will require some temporary parameters and all that. So this is my caller activation record. Whereas for the callee, that is, this is my callee. For this callee program, the activation record will be, but obvious for this swap, it is having a formal parameter, so it will store the formal parameters. At the same time, the local parameters. So for this program, it will have a temp as a local parameter, right? And but obvious over here again, if there is any procedure call, so see over here in a swap, it is calling a add. So but obvious for the add, when it will transmit a control to the execution of the add at that time, but obvious it will store all these states along with the written address. RA we will refer as a written address. So all this information will be stored in the activation record. So for the activation record, the data needed for the activation of the procedure is collected and stored as a record, which is referred as a frame or a activation record. The record contains the storage for local variables, formal parameters, and any additional information needed for the activation. As I just now mentioned, the written address also. So each activation of a recursive procedure needs distinct storage for its formal parameter. So the meaning is what? Whenever we are having a recursive call, at that time for each activation, there is a separate memory for each recursive procedure call will be there. So similarly, each activation needs distinct storage for the local variables also. So whenever there is an activation of any procedure, a separate activation record is going to be maintained for that particular call. That is what you have to keep in mind. So whenever the call will be there, how the stack will be allocated. Okay. So see, we will see one example. Stack allocation. So how the stack allocation will be done? Now what we will do is, my board is visible? Yes. Is board is visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
See, I have just modified this code. Instead of calling add from the swap, now what I have done, I have given a call to the add from the main program in order to show you the stack allocation and deallocation. And then a return. Okay. And program is completed. So now, whenever there is an execution of the program is starting, how the stack will be allocated. So I think for stack, all of you are knowing it is nothing but a memory storage, system internal storage. Now, so whenever the program starts, original program, so I'm considering this as a M. So my main program is going to start, so it will be put it on a stack. Now it will execute the instructions line by line, but when my control comes to this swap line, now what will happen? The swap will be put on the stack. So whenever there is an activation of a procedure, that particular name of the procedure will be put it on a stack, and but obvious the actual control will be transmitted to the execution of the actual process, right? Actual procedure. Now, once it will be written from the after completion of this procedure, the control will be back at and so after completion, it will remove snap from the stack. So it will deallocate a memory from the stack. Now next it will have add. Now the control will be transmitted, this procedure will be executed, and once this procedure will be completed, but obvious this will be removed from the stack, and but obvious only M is there, so it will pop M and it will continue execution, and once it will be terminated, there is nothing over here in my stack. So always my pointer in a stack will be pointing to the top. So when there is nothing, when it starts M, and when there is a call swap, but obvious M will be stored on the stack, and but obvious swap is going to be executed. So in this way, the stack allocation and deallocation will take place. Okay. So we will see over here one example is also there. So stack allocation and deallocation. In Pascal and C programming, activation records are held in a stack. So the storage can be reused efficiently. So as I mentioned, when the procedure or a program calls Q calls are at that time, but obviously when P is giving a call to Q, P will be inserted in a stack, the pointer will be incremented. Now, when Q calls R, this Q, so as I mentioned, whenever there is a activation of any procedure, that activation record will be stored on the stack. Now from Q, it is calling R, so R will be again over here. And then once my procedure R is completed, it will deallocate or it will pop that topmost element from the stack. So once it will be popped from, once my procedure R will be completed, it is deallocated from the stack. So, but obviously it will return to the queue. So Q will be executed. Once it will be completed, it will be removed from the stack. And at last, after completion of your P, the stack will be empty. So this is the stack allocation and deallocation. Now we will see in detail how the control flow between the activation records. Okay. So now over here, see, just I will let you know, as I mentioned, the procedure within a procedure. So as shown in this example is mainly written in the Pascal programming. So in Pascal programming, if you are see over here, each procedure or a program, so outermost box indicate a main program. Inside a main program, there is a procedure sub 1. Within that procedure sub 1, there is a procedure sub 2, and but obvious in that procedure sub 2, again there is a procedure sub 3. So we will see in detail how these procedure activation or the control will flow among these activations. So I will just rub the board. Yes.
Ma'am, you said that procedure sub 3 is inside sub 2. So wouldn't the
Can you just speak loudly?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, go ahead. Now it's audible.
So you said that procedure sub 3 is inside procedure sub 2. So wouldn't the rectangle be inside procedure sub 2 if it were like that?
I'm not getting your question.
you explained that inside the main program there's procedure sub 1, and
Correct.
inside sub 1 there's sub 2. But
Correct.
you went ahead and also said that procedure sub 3 is inside sub 2.
No,
So
no, no. Sub 3 is inside sub 1. So my sub 1 is having two procedures, sub 2 and sub 3.
yeah, okay, thank you.
Yeah, so each procedure is showing in the rectangular box. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
So see, in Pascal, as I mentioned, sub 1, inside, in main function, there is a procedure definition for sub 1. Inside sub 1, there is a procedure sub 2 and sub 3. And each procedure is shown with a block. Okay? But the procedure definition within a procedure is possible in Pascal, but in C, procedure definition within a procedure is not supported. Am I right? We have to write the function definition separately, but we can call the function within a function. Right, Harshada? Yes or no? Function definition within a function is not possible in C programming. The syntax which is shown on the slide is specifically for the Pascal programming. Okay. So is my board is visible? See, so this is my main program. Inside main, there is sub 1 procedure, right? As per the slide it is shown. Inside the sub 1, there is sub 2, right? And there is one more procedure inside sub 1, that is sub 3. So these two procedures, sub 2 and sub 3, is inside sub 1, and sub 1 is inside main program, right? Now there is two calls. So there is call for sub 3. In sub 1, it is calling sub 3, and there is a call to sub 2 also. Right. So this is within the procedure definition of sub 1, and in my main program, I'm calling sub 1, right? So in my sub 1, I'm passing the parameters 3, 4. Okay, so now see, as I mentioned in Pascal, procedure definition within a procedure, so we are calling it as a nested procedure. That is possible in Pascal. But in C, procedure definition within a procedure is not allowed. So we will see for this particular example how the control will do. So can you just tell me, now main program is there. Now from main, it is calling sub 1, right? From main program, these are the function definition, but the actual activation of the procedure will be starting from sub 1. So when this particular sub 1 will be called, tell me on my stack what thing I have to push. When my main program is started execution, now from main program I am giving a call to sub 1. Right? So I have to put main program over here on my stack, and there is a call to sub 1. To sub 1. Now from sub 1, so control will be transmitted over here. So from sub 1, what we are calling? Yes, tell me, from sub 1, which procedure
Sub
is
2.
called? Sub 3. So it will put sub 3 on the stack. After sub 3, which call is there? Yes, which call is there from sub 3? Sorry, from sub 1, sub 3 and sub 2. Right? Now, so whenever there is a call, we are putting that things in the stack. Okay. Now, so over here in this way, my stack will be allocated, right? So now for each activation there is a activation free, right? So now I hope you have understood how we have put these things on the stack. Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Correct. And if you are going to see in sub 2 on the slide, there is again a call to sub 2 minus C minus 1. Am I right? On the slide where my cursor is pointing. So see, at the static or at a compile time, my program is knowing that there is some sub1 procedure, but for this sub1, the activation record will be allocated at dynamic time. So by obvious, my static links, so for each procedure, there is a concept of static link. Right. So from main, it is calling someone, right? Now, in sub1, so but obvious, from sub1, it is calling sub3. From sub3, it is calling sub2. Am I right? So these are called as a static allocation, static pointer allocation, or it is also referred as static link or access link. These are called access link or static link, or it is also, if you are referring the books, they are also called as access pointers or the static pointer, which will be mentioned where my pointer will be written after the or from which particular procedure it is calling. So from M1 I call sub1, from sub1 it is calling sub3, from sub3 it is sub, right? Now, so this is my access link or the static link or the static pointer it is referred. So in this way, whenever there is a procedure, it will be called. So now at the same time, there is a concept of control link. Now see, just listen carefully. My control link, or it is also referred as dynamic link or dynamic pointer. In books, it is used interchangeably. Now, so see, my control link or dynamic link, as the name indicate, during the execution time, but obvious, my M, my sub1. So my control link is going to point to the activation record of the caller. So sub1 is, who is the caller of sub1? Yes,
Main program.
main program. So from the sub1, there is a link pointer which will point to the activation record of the caller. So it will point to the activation record of main program. Now, so for sub3, who is the caller? Sub3 is called from, yes, who is caller of sub3?
Sub1.
Sub1. So my sub3 will be pointing to the activation record of sub1. Now see, who is caller of sub2? Yes, who is caller of sub2?
Sub3.
Sub3. So my sub2 will point to the activation record of sub3. Now, when my sub2 is executed, again it is calling to itself, that is sub2 with parameter C minus 1. So, at runtime, see, again there will be with C minus 1 parameter, right? So, who is the caller of this sub2? Yes, because there is a separate activation record for each, whenever there is a call for this procedure, a separate activation record will be allocated, as I already mentioned. So this sub2 with a C minus 1. So who is the caller of this sub2? Yes, Again, because this is a recursive, so it will again point to the activation record of the sub2 1. We will mention this as a sub2 1, sub2 2. I hope you are able to understand. The access link is nothing but a pointer to the caller activation record of a caller. Now, in this case, if you are going to look at the activation links and the control links and the access link are going to be same, but it won't be same at the time of dynamic linkage. Okay, so we will see. So I hope this much you have understood. Is there any? Yes.
Ma'am, in the C programming language, when we declare global variables, it will be the memory allocated in the stack.
Can you speak loudly?
Hear me?
Yes.
Ma'am, in the C programming language, when we have the global variables, where will be the memory allocated in the stack?
See, for the global memory, but obvious, it will be whenever the program will be activated at that time, the global memory storage will be there, which will be accessible to all the processes. Now we will come to that point also on the coming slides, but whether you people have at least understood this much related to control flow between the different procedure activations? Yes, one at a time.
Ma'am, so static link is from the caller to the callee. Then it goes from sub 1 to sub 3, then sub 3 to sub 2, etc. And control link goes from points to the activation record of the.
Yeah, control link, which is nothing but dynamically, that is at runtime, how my program will come to know or compiler will come to know after completion of the process where the pointer should return. So that's why my control link or the dynamic pointer or dynamic link, which is the pointer which points or the link which points to the activation record of a caller. So for sub 1, M is the caller. So it will point to the activation record of M1.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Now should I proceed?
Ma'am,
Yes.
how sub 2 is called by sub 3? It should be in sub 1. I'm not.
What?
Sub,
Yes.
sub 2 is called by sub 3.
Sub 2 is, sub 2 is called by sub 3. So that's why sub 2's activation or this control link will be pointing to sub 3 only. Na? Sorry, I think I have made some mistake. Sub 3 is calling from sub 1. So see, sub 3 से हमने sub 1 को ही रिटर्न किया है ना control link. Sub 3 से sub 1 को ही रिटर्न है.
Yes, ma'am. But sub 2 is called in sub 1 only, no?
So sub 2 is also called from
Sub 1.
sub 1. So yes, it will be, I have made a mistake. So sub 2 is also returning. So, but obvious from, just a minute. Sub 3 से sub 1 को ही है. Sub 2 is also called from sub 1. So sub 2 का return will be at sub 1 only. Activation record. This is my M. And from sub 1 it will return to M. Now is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
So my control link or dynamic link or the pointer will always point to the activation record of a caller. So for this example, my main program is calling sub 1. So on stack already I have a sub 1. So at access link or at the lexical time, it is knowing M is going to give a call to sub 1. From sub 1 we are having sub 3, sub 2, right? And at dynamic time there is a recursion. So but obvious sub 1, then from sub 1 we are calling sub 3. At the same time for sub 1 we are having a call to sub 2. From sub 1 to sub 2, right? Now, so by giving I will again repeat it for control link or for dynamic pointer or dynamic link, the link is it is a pointer which will point to the caller activation record. So sub 1 is called from M, right? Sub 1 is called from M. So there is a link from sub1 to the M. Now sub3 is called from sub1. So it will point to the activation record of sub1. Now sub2 is also called from sub1. So sub2 is pointing to the activation record of sub1. So my sub3 as well as my sub2 is having a access or dynamic pointer to the sub1. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
But this sub1, when this sub2 is going to be executed, there is a recursive call, right? So what obvious, it will again have sub2, 2 which is C minus 1, and it will point to the activation record of sub2. Now I think this is clear. Now is it correct? Because what I said, a dynamic pointer or a dynamic link is nothing but a link which points to the activation record of a caller.
Ma'am, if we change the order of sub 3 and sub 2, it won't make a difference, right? Because they are called by sub 1 itself.
Yeah, but see, when it will be called from the sub1, but the activation record, see, for this sub3, when it will be called, it will be sub3, sub2. So, but obvious, whenever it will be written, so activation record pointer, written address will be something different, no? Because over here it indicates it is a sub3, so it will transmit a control to the sub3, but over here, the written address will be the address, what will be the address where my sub2, see, for each instruction, there is a separate memory address will be allocated. Am I right? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Correct. So even though when it will be switched, but obvious, for both this thing, the dynamic link or the access link will be of sub1 activation record, but when it will be written in for execution, in order to resume the execution, the written address will be something different. Yes or no? So see, it will
Then how do we decide that which sub-procedure will be first?
just give me a minute. On the next slide, it will be more clear. Okay. See, because my program is a sequence of a set of instructions, right?
Yes,
Agreed? So when my sub1 will be executed, it won't have sub3 as well as sub2 on the same line.
Yes, ma'am.
Even though when you are calling a procedure within a procedure, but obvious the control will be when there is a call within a procedure, first it will transmit that control to the sub3, and if you are calling the sub2 in this particular example, but obvious when my sub2 will be called, so first control will be transmitted to the sub2, and from sub2 it is calling itself or some other procedure, right? That is the nested procedures call.
Ma'am, because I thought it would be top to down procedure, like it will go to first sub 2 and then sub 3, because sub 2 comes first, right?
No. Just let me finish next few slides, and again we will come back to your point if you are not getting. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So this is the control which I have just now explained on the board for the same example. So see, at runtime, whenever your program is going to start, my program counter or the pointer will point to the main, that is the line by line execution will be happened, right? So, but obvious it will start with the program main. Now there is a call to sub1. Now see, so my program counter is pointing to the main function. This is my stack, and it will start the code area or the actual instructions will start execution line by line. So there is a call for sub1, which is having actual parameters are 3, 4, right? So at runtime, this activation record will be allocated whenever there is a call to sub1. So see, as I mentioned with my activation record, it will store the actual parameters A, B as 3, 4. Now, so whenever, so call will be, this instruction call sub1 will be executed. So at that time, the current state of my caller will be saved on the stack. So 3, 4, what will be the written address? Now, so after once this completion of the process will be done, it will point to the S1. Am I right? S1, which indicate a written address. Okay. And but obvious, my dynamic pointer and my static pointer both are pointing to the main function from the S1. So, but obvious, this activation record for sub1 is going to have as a formal parameter 3, 4. The written pointer for from the S1 will be pointing to this S1. Now, after this second time, what will happen when there is a call to sub3? Now, see over here in my sub1, the control will be transmitted to the execution of sub1. At that time, it will store the formal parameters as well as the value of y as 1. And from this particular procedure, there is a call to sub3, not to sub2. This is a function definition. Is that clear? So, but obvious when, so activation record will be stored over here with the value for this sub1. Now the pointer will be pointing over here, and but obvious after sub1 will be completed, but obvious there is a call to sub3. So, but obvious when from sub1 we are calling sub3, the activation record for sub3, which is having the value over here, written address will be returning from sub3, but obvious from sub3 again there will be whatever be the state. So for sub3 there is nothing is there, so it will store the written address, dynamic pointer and a static pointer. SP indicate access link or the control link. As I already mentioned, the names are interchangeably used. Now, but obvious after sub3 will be completed, then there is a call to sub2. Is that clear? See over here, sub1 will be called. So sub1 will be started execution. It will give a call to sub3. Once sub3 will be over, then there is a call to sub2 with a parameter a. Sub2. So over here, but obvious for sub2, y value will be incremented with a 1. So it increments the value over here as 2. Then it will store the written address, dynamic pointer link and the that is static pointer link over here. So but obvious from main it is calling sub1. From sub1 there is a call to sub3 and then sub2. And from sub2 again there is a call to sub2 itself only. So initially it will be calling sub2 with 3, then sub2 with 2 and so on. Now this is the execution or the when the program is executed, how there is a change in the activation record contains. Is that clear? Now Anushka, I hope you have understood now.
Yes, ma'am.
Correct. So see, always keep in mind your program is a sequence of instruction and it will execute one instruction at a time. So it won't get confused with whether it will go to sub3 or sub2, even though it is written on the same line. There is the separation with the semicolon in the instructions, right? So that's why sub3 will be called first and then sub2. But in sub2 again there is a call to sub2. So once it will complete that recursion, then it will return to the sub1. I hope now it is clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Now should I proceed?
Yes, ma'am.
So as I already mentioned, control link in a stack allocation. Control links are also referred as a dynamic link, which points to the caller activation. That is the old stack pointer, we can also say. So points to the caller. So always keep in mind, dynamic pointer, DP is always points to the caller. And once you have understood this, it will be easy for you, whatever be the number of activations will be there within a procedure calls. Now, but there is a change in the static access link. The static link will points to the enclosing scope. That is, if you remember, we talked about the local variable. So each variable which is defined within a procedure will be accessible within that particular procedure. That is a local scope. So my static link which points to the enclosing scope. Now, if the callee is directly enclosed by a caller, static link will be a caller's activation. Now, as I mentioned in Pascal, procedure within a procedure is possible, but that is not possible with a C. So this thing, that is, if a callee is directly enclosed by a collar, static link will be collar's activation. That is, in this particular case, my sub2 is enclosed within a sub1. So, but obvious, my sub2 will point to the, my static link and my dynamic link over here are same, right? So my static link or the static access or the access link will be same as a collar's activation. If the callee has same enclosing scope as a collar, my static link will be the static link in collar's activation again. And if a callee is in a scope, that is, if there is a nested calls or the recursion is there that encloses the collar, need to traverse k static links from the collar and use that static link. That is, as I mentioned, from the sub, when there is a call to sub 1, but obvious, just now as we had seen in the example, previous example. So nesting depth is used to denote where the procedure name is declared. So this is about the dynamic pointer and static pointer. Now there is a lexical scope of the variables. Now we will talk for as in respect to the C programming, how the functions are used in a C. So the lexical scope in C programming is compiler for imperative languages often use a stack to organize the storage for local variables. The lifetime of the local. So just keep in mind lifetime of that is the local variable. So wherever you are using that particular variables in that procedure, their storage for the variable declaration within the procedure is local to that procedure activation only. So meaning is what? Over here, if I have written the same code, or if you remember, as we have written add function in the previous example, int A, int B, and in integer procedure, I have written int result. So this result is having a scope within this add procedure. I am writing result is equal to A plus B. Meaning is what? This result is having a local scope to this procedure only, to the add procedure. So that is the local or the lifetime of the locals. The storage for variables declared within a procedure is local to that procedure only. Whenever that procedure will be active, only the scope will be during that particular time period. So storage for the locals of an activation is allocated. So already we have seen last time, whenever there is a call to a procedure, all the local variables will be declared or the memory will be allocated when that activation is there. So the storage for the locals of an activation is allocated when the activation is set up, that is during the activation time. And once the procedure is over, it is deallocated from that memory. So variables in C is either local to the procedure or global to all the procedures. So that is with a C programming. I hope now it is clear. Whatever be the variables which are declared in that procedure, the lifetime of that particular procedure is during the activation of that procedure. Once the procedure is over, it won't be accessible to the the memory will be deallocated when the activation ends. Now the stack frame is nothing but the activation record which held on a stack. They are sometimes called stack frames. So in Pascal, we have referred as a activation record or of activation frame. In C programming, same way, the stack frame, that is the activation record which is held on a stack, is referred as stack frame. Now layout of the activation record for C. Whenever the procedure is called, compiler ensures C uses, I think it's 9.3. So we will stop over here. I think you are having a next lecture.